Welcome to John Esser Sports Channel, where we're going to quickly look through the management merry-go-round for League One this season 2024-25. 14 managers have moved on or been moved out. Let's have a look at them. Let's see where they are now, because obviously we've got ones that have moved on, ones that have been touted by other clubs such as Luton Town. So we will look at where they are, and then we'll have a quick sentence or two about, was it a good idea? So we start with Neil Critchley, and we go back in time to August the 21st, 2024. Neil Critchley moved out, and we can see why. We're thinking, we went down. We've not really been looking like anything decent. We just don't seem to be showing that we can get back into the Championship, and that's really where they want to be. We've been in the Premier League, they went down to the Championship, down to League One. Obviously fans and owners alike would love to get back somewhere, at least into the Championship. Was it a good idea? Probably was for the club. Neil Critchley now, Heart of Midlothian in the Premiership in Scotland. October the 15th when he got appointed there, so it was a couple of months before he got back into managing. Then we go on to September, and we're on September the 24th, 2024, where we see Crawley Town's Scott Lindsay move out. And Scott Lindsay was one of those first ones, I think, where he gets got rid of because it was obvious at that time they're not performing at all well, and the side just didn't look like it was going to be able to keep its position in the in League One. Getting promoted was one of those things that quite often you have to give the manager time to show that he can do it at that level as well as in League Two in this case. And I don't think they really gave him the chance there. I think that you had had a decent transfer window, and the fans were actually quite upbeat, and I was sort of upbeat, and several other fans were putting them in the bottom half, but not in the relegation zone, and the other half were putting them at the bottom in 24th. So I think we're sat on either side of the fence here. There are some fans that think it was a good idea, some fans that think perhaps they should have given a little bit more time, because it is a manager that's just come up from League Two. Was it a great idea? September the 24th when he left, and then Rob Elliott came in on October the 1st, so it wasn't very long before you got the next manager in, which sort of suggests to me that they've been looking almost since the start of the season, thinking this may not work, guys. So where do we go from? Scott Lindsay hasn't got a club as yet, so where do we go there? We go to Mark Robinson from Burton, and Burton really he's still without a club, and they didn't do well. October the 23rd when he left, and you think they were showing signs that they may actually get welded to the bottom and not come off it. Was it a good idea? I think it was. I think that they needed to make a decision quickly and give themselves a good chance of getting off. What did they get the right man? They waited so long. The caretaker manager, Tom Hounsell, left on December the 17th for Gary Bowyer. And Gary Bowyer has done really well. He's managed to get some stability there and some really good results. Not brilliant football, but I tell you what, it's just good enough, I think, to stay out of that bottom. I mean, where are they at the minute? They're in 21st position, but they're literally breathing on the necks. Another 2 wins, and they're with Bristol Rovers, Northampton, and Peterborough. So they're not out of it. A little bit more of an improvement, and I think that would be just the icing on the cake. Would they be where they are now if they hadn't changed? I think they would have been even lower down, to be honest. I think it was a good idea. If anybody can do it, he can. And I still believe at the minute that he could possibly do it. So that one was Mark Robinson. We then go to Paul Hurst. Now, Paul Hurst was I think it was his second stint at Shrewsbury Town, wasn't it? November the 3rd. And he's still without a club at the minute. And Shrewsbury welded to the bottom in 24th. Cambridge sort of, at the minute, sort of just up and above them and then below them. Don't seem to have really seen any changes from the Paul Hurst era. I'd love to hear from Shrewsbury Town fans. It's not a position where we expected Shrewsbury to be in. However, they've not been playing bad football. They've been playing okay football and just not getting the results of late. I've seen some performances certainly recently that have suggested that they're a sort of bottom half team, but not sort of 24th position. Good idea. Probably the right timing. Whether it was a good idea is I'll leave that one to the Shrewsbury Town fans. And then we go to Ruben Sellers, of course, from Reading. Now this is obviously completely different because on December the 6th he went to Hull City, of course, and the day after he got he told everybody he was leaving Reading. So unfortunately, it was a forced change. Was it great timing? Well, actually, it was poor timing, I thought, because they were doing so well. Badly off-pitch. Off-pitch antics were dreadful. But with the takeover news falling through at that point, I think, and you're thinking that the on-field skills and football was really good, and they were outplaying teams that they really should be losing to. They did really well. I was really impressed by Ruben Sellers, as of course were other teams like Hull. So there we are. He went up and changed clubs. We didn't really do that badly though. Really didn't. You obviously can't afford to be out without a manager too long. They brought in Noel Hunt straight away. So Noel Hunt became the manager. And actually has done rather well. So it wasn't a big hit for Reading. Thankfully to the fans. I think they deserve a lot more after what they've been through. Then we go to Northampton Town. And Northampton Town's John Brady on December the 5th, the same day. He's still without a club. So get rid of Tom Brady. Northampton now in 19th. They really did improve after that, didn't they? I really did. Now, I didn't think that the football there was very good. Look, they weren't ever in serious trouble, I don't think. But under John Brady, certainly they didn't play very great football. They don't play great football now, but they play good enough football to be out of that bottom four. Look, they're still only 6 points ahead of Burton in 21st. They still might get relegated. But I think that point in time was probably the right time to change. Then we go to our dear friend Matt Taylor, and of course people from Rotherham know who he is. Matt Taylor on December the 16th from Bristol Rovers. And he got moved on, probably for the same reasons as at Rotherham. He just didn't seem to have the nous to change anything during the game, and it was always the same tactic every game. Whether that was the reason, I do hear from some of the fans, yes, it was. He really was the same at Bristol as he was at Rotherham. Not surprised. I think that they did need to do something. Look, when they changed on December the 16th, David Horseman came in as caretaker. Wasn't that interested in the change there, but when they went to Inigo Calderon, they certainly changed their style, and they stopped being this team that could either turned up or didn't turn up at a game, and they started being a little bit more consistent, which I think is better for the fans, because then the fans know that their team at least will turn up. And I think it was a good change. At the minute, they're only in 20th, but I think that they have been playing a more consistent football. Probably hit by the fact that Matt Taylor didn't really get the right players in. However, one or two Bristol Rovers fans before you dislike me, did say, look, he didn't get enough support when he was here, so we've been left with the team that he left us with, which wasn't that good because he wasn't given the support to improve it. Now, if that's true, I don't know. You fans out there, Bristol Rovers fans, certainly will know. I had a mixed set of discussions with the Bristol Rovers fans, some saying that, some saying it was a good job he left. So a good mix there. Then we had the caretaker go from Burton, and Gary Bowyer came in, and then we had the caretaker leave from Northampton, and Kevin Nolan came in, and then the caretaker went from Bristol Rovers, and Calderon came in. So that was that lot. Then we get the January window. Now, January is one of those periods where the top clubs will try, from the top two divisions, will always try and try and nick other managers if they're doing really well. And of course, we saw the Wycombe manager Matt Bloomfield disappear, and we're all thinking, oh wow, now what a capture! Could be a really good time to change for Luton Town. However, it looks like they may be coming down. January the 14th, he signed up with Luton. January the 13th, he left from Wycombe. So several people, not just me, thought that was a really bad thing for Wycombe at that point in time. January the 13th, mid second window, and it looked like they were going to lose a couple of their really good loan players. They didn't, and actually they did really well in the window, considering what we were all thinking was going to happen and the loss of manager. Sam Grace came in as caretaker, and then on February the 3rd, a bit of a gap there. I was a little bit worried about the gap. Mike Dodds came in as manager on February the 3rd. And the gap, I thought, may just hinder their push for that automatic place, but it didn't. Was it a good idea to allow him to go? You can't sit in front of a manager and ask him, are you really eager to take this other job? And say, well, I don't want you to go. I'm not going to let you. You've got to respect their wishes and whether they think that it's a better opportunity. And most owners will not stand in front of their progression in their career. It's just a case of, is it a progression, because they look like they're getting relegated. We start seeing one or two managers now as we get into the end of January the 22nd, where Bolton Wanderers sacked their manager. Now, again, I get two different stories from the Bolton fans, and they are really completely different. We've got the Bolton fans that were saying, look, he's without a club. They got rid of him, and they were doing pretty poorly. There were certain results that just weren't good enough, and I totally agree. I think if they left, was it the Huddersfield game? It was about 4-0, 4-0, 5-0. It was a thumping from Huddersfield, I believe, that got him sacked. But whether it was or not, he got a thumping at one of the games, and then they got rid of him the next game, and it was like, well, probably the best idea. They have got a good team, and they still have got a good team, but they just weren't getting the best out of them. We know they can score. That team could score. They have so many good strikers. And they're always on the front foot, as one of the Bolton fans said to me. They're always attacking. They don't really try and park. They don't intend parking the bus in most of the games, and they don't in most of the games. I absolutely agree with you. So Ian Everett leaving, I think, was partially seen as good news because of how they were playing or how they were underperforming, and partially I saw there was a few comments from fans saying, it's just not being supported. He's not being given the ability to do some of the things he wanted to do. How true is that? I don't know, because that team was pretty good. I'd probably be erring on the fact that on the side of the first lot that think it's probably a good idea. But tell me, which side of the fence were you on, Bolton fans? I saw more fans on the side of, we needed to get rid of him, than on the side of we should have supported him. But we do have that issue. So that was on 22nd of January. On 29th, they got Stephen Schumacher in. Obviously, very good choice. They are now doing extremely well. At the minute, as we speak, they've just dropped to 7th. But they are only 1 point behind Huddersfield. So that 6th place is definitely up for grabs by them, isn't it? Then we got that late replacement for Wickham. So Mike Dodds came in. And then this is where we start getting a few of the last-minute panics, isn't it? So still without a club, we have Gary Monk. And Gary's not a bad manager, but let's face it, they were pretty much rocked onto that bottom, and they weren't playing good football. Cambridge were playing some pretty ropey football. They gave Rotherham their first away win in almost 2 years away from home. And on February the 16th, he left the club to be replaced by Neil Harris. I thought that was a good bet for them, and I thought that's going to certainly turn things upside down at the bottom. They're in 23rd. Does look like they're going to go down. I mean, they're 13 points adrift of Bristol Rovers with 11 games left. It's not impossible, but they'd have to really go on a run, and they haven't been showing that they can. Was it a good idea at the time? Look, at the time, it was a great idea. They were. It was a case of flick a coin. Do we agree that we're going to go down most likely and keep him and try and rebuild next year, or do we try and just get rid of him and try something new? Trying something new was at least doing something rather than doing nothing. I'd probably agree it was the overall at the time it was the right idea. Right manager to replace him by, well, you're not going to write Neil Harris off, are you? Look, some fans don't like him and don't like his style, but at the end of the day, he has got a decent enough reputation. So Sean Maloney was next on the 2nd of March, and Sean Maloney from left Wigan to be replaced from the 2nd on the 11th by Ryan Lowe. Another decent change, but Sean Maloney for Ryan Lowe, these managers are not dissimilar in stature, at least. Still without a club, Sean Maloney, and you think they were mid-table. They weren't going up, weren't going down. They looked like they were, well, just a mid-table team. March the 2nd, they've dropped now to 17th, but and they could get caught, but on 43 points when Burton are on 36 in 21st, you're thinking, it's going to take a good run by an awful lot of those teams underneath them to. It's not just Burton that have to turn the tide. Remember, it would have to be Bristol Rovers, Northampton. All those teams below them would have to suddenly get better. Peterborough to drop Wigan into it. Unlikely. I didn't really see why this happened. I had a few people on here on my video saying we're not quite sure why that happened. One or two were saying, well, he didn't get the support. Again, and that's the obvious, the usual answer from a fan, isn't it? He didn't. Well, if you don't agree with it, it's because he didn't get the support, and he deserves better. Unfortunately, he lost his job, and we got Ryan Lowen. Hasn't really changed the club very much. They were doing really well, nice mid-table. Certainly weren't as low as 17th. Doesn't seem to have done a great deal of difference. In fact, it seems to have got things slightly worse. Then another team that was doing badly on March the 9th, we got Michael Duff out of Huddersfield. Now, Michael Duff at the minute without a club still. His style, his mannerisms didn't really come across well to me. And some of the Huddersfield fans, when I started saying that, I was quite shocked by this. A lot of the Huddersfield fans saying, well, no, if you've seen it, we're not shocked. I think one of them said, look, since January, I think at the time this person talked to me, they said, we've not scored a single goal at home in the last, it was early March when they spoke to me. So he's not got us a single goal since he's got. So it would have been, I would have spoke to that Huddersfield fan around March the 10th, 11th. And he was saying, since January this year we've scored 0 goals at home. Yes, he needed to go. Because he couldn't turn around the goal scoring. Now, if they didn't have goal scorers, then I would have been saying, but it's not his fault. They've not given him the money to get strikers in, then it's not his fault. But they have got strikers, and he should have been able to turn at least one or two of them into current good scorers. That ability to turn players round and get them playing better is when they're in that doldrum period is a really good skill, and I don't think Michael Duff had it. Was it a good time to get rid of him? They were dropping out of that top 6, and it looked like they'd do a Barnsley and just start dropping well out of the top 6 and into mid-table obscurity. It was probably one of those last gasp things where you're thinking that we can try and keep it up, guys, but all those points that we got to get us almost in touching distance of second place have gone. We need to act now, and I think they did need to act then. It's one of the few recent ones where I'd probably agree after listening to the Huddersfield fans. Thank you very much, Huddersfield fans, for giving your feedback. That's the point at which we got on March the 11th. We got the replacement for Wigan. Obviously, a caretaker manager, Glenn Whelan. I mean, my God, I'd have probably given him extra time and let him have a look, let him have a stab at it. But Ryan Lowe came in and it's not really done it for me, I'm afraid. In fact, I think Glenn Whelan probably did a better job. But that's just my personal thoughts. The next two are very interesting. Darryl Clark from Barnsley. I will get the right side without a club. Now they really had some really torrid games, hadn't they? They still lose things late in the second half. They still do badly for the first few minutes. I don't think things have really changed, but the results have. Barnsley are in 10th, 52 points. they're 9 points away from Huddersfield in 6th. That's about the best they could hope to get to. They'd have to really go on a winning run. They have got better, but have they got better enough? Probably not, but they could get there. I think that they acted a little bit too slow there. I think that if they'd have seen this drop a little bit earlier and thought, well, he's not turning it around quick enough, they should have been doing that at least at the same time as Huddersfield did theirs, or even a week before. I think it was just days or even games. Even the odd 1 or 2 games here makes a difference, and I think they were just 1 or 2 games too late with that one. Then the most surprising one is the last one on March the 19th, yesterday, in fact. Last night I got told that Rob Elliott had been got rid of by Crawley Town, and again you're thinking, oh, for heaven's sake, he's without a club. You're sat in 22nd place on 30 points, 12 points adrift of Bristol Rovers, Northampton and Peterborough, with 11 games to go. We can't, the most you're going to get back is about 1 point per game. You're really, really pushing it now. You would have to get someone in, and your luck would have to change so quickly. However, and it is a big however, I have been watching them, and my friend Roy from Mansfield, hello Roy, we watched a game a couple of weeks ago, and they really look tired and really low on energy. And they've done it for a few games now, and they just look out of sorts, out of fitness. Maybe, and look, I like the fact that they've stopped playing 35 minutes of great, fast tempo, great football, and then the rest of the game just losing it, because they were probably the highest scorers in the first half of all the games. 3 or 4 goals in the first half. And then they'd lose it in the second half. They did against Exeter. They were like 4-1 up, I think. And they drew 4-4. And at half time, the Exeter fans told me, we're about to leave. We're 4-1 now. We've got no chance. But Crawley did their usual, they said, and we ended up getting back to 4-4. And they've stopped doing that, and they've evened out their effort across the whole 90 minutes. So it's slightly better performance, but for the whole game instead of just 35 minutes. And actually it's worked. They have got better performances, and they have got better results. So to see him leave is almost an act of desperation. Look, I know where they are isn't good, but there has been an improvement. All I can think is that if they're wanting to change this fitness level around, if they can change the fitness level, then this evening it out across the game may be doable, and it may be achievable for Crawley to get back to a few winning games. And they could be putting pressure on the likes of Burton in 21st, and more importantly, Bristol Rovers perhaps in 20th, Northampton in 19th, possibly 18th, Peterborough possibly. I would say it's unlikely. I can't see I think Peterborough have changed and improved. Northampton are more steady, and they don't seem to be improving or getting worse. Bristol Rovers have improved, but I'm hoping for the fans' sake, because I've spoke to a few of the fans before the season started, and people were either writing them off or saying, no, I think that they've got a good enough side to just, with that new striker they got from non-league, to be able to just stay above the relegation zone. So there were 2 different camps, and I was sort of thinking, no, I think they might just stay out of it. So I do hope the fans do manage to see an improvement in form, but it's so late. 11 games left. Can they do it? I do hope so. But I can't see it. I do hope I'm wrong, for the Crawley fans' sake. It's John S. Sports Channel over and out for one more video. Please do like and subscribe. Remember, John S. Sports Channel, like and subscribe.